auto sequence start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, hello there. Welcome, my fellow dopamine chasers, to another installment of Canned Conversation. My name is Andrew. With me, as always, my good friend Steven.
Well, hello.
Hello.
You sound funny.
I know. I have a bit of a rasp, I think. This is my sexy voice. Didn't Lisa Kudrow's character in Friends at one point? She had a cold.
And she
didn't want to get rid of it.
Yeah, and she lost it. She was super pissed because it made her sound cool.
Well, we've been on a bit of a break for you loyal listeners out there because of things that came up. One is health. I was under the weather. You were under the weather before me.
Yep.
Then I caught this nasty bug. My patient Zero was 3 years old and came over to visit family, and poor thing, she was sick, and then we all got sick, and so I'm in recovery, but I haven't quite 100% gotten my voice back. So hopefully we can. This isn't unlistenable.
We'll be good.
Yes,
people. I would guess based on how many other people I've talked to recently that are struggling with the same cold that they can't get rid of. It takes weeks.
Yeah,
that there's probably half of our listeners are going, yeah, I'm sick right now too.
Right.
That's how I felt for the last week and a half. So.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's see if we remember what it is we do here.
Oh,
if I recall,
what's our shtick?
Our shtick and our passion is one of us brings a new, unique, or rare canned beverage to try. And while we shotgun it into our gullets, we attempt to dazzle you with our bevy of brilliant stories and ideas. Today's being about addiction. Later in the show, we'll review and rate the canned beverage and let you know if you should try it while playing bingo at the local nudist resort.
Please tell me we're shotgunning beers.
I'm not sure if I have that in me, but we'll just drink it faster than normal.
Okay.
All right. Cool. So without further ado, let's get this can going because I do need to keep the vocal cords lubricated. That doesn't. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Here we go.
Mr. Burgundy, you are acting like a baby.
I'm not a baby, I'm a man. I am an anchor man.
You are not a man. You are a big fat joke.
I'm a man who discovered the wheel and built the Eiffel Tower out of metal and brawn. That's what kind of man I am. You're just a woman with a small brain. With a brain a third the size of us. It's science.
It's science.
Science.
I believe he gave away the title in that. All right, to make you guess. I like making you guess movies sometimes. But that movie.
Anchorman.
Yes. I'm an anchor man. Just all caps on the man.
I love Anchorman.
Yes, Ron Burgundy. So I brought today's can. It is a ale. So it's called Sea Quench Ale, and it is from the Dogfish Head company.
Yep.
I've had this in the queue for a while now. I picked it up. I've seen a few things from Dogfish Head.
Yep.
I don't know that we've tried it. It sounds familiar, and I think it's because I see it a lot at the store.
I see it a lot as well because they have one that has a giant trout on it, and I think every time I should buy that trout one to go trout fishing with, but I think I may have tried it before and it didn't taste good, So
this is a session sour, and we've had some sours before.
Yep.
What drew me to this is the can was fun. It had a big, it's got a huge sea faring theme on it.
Yep.
With some fish and something that is bobbing in the ocean that looks like what are those that you fish? A bobber?
Yeah. So it's a buoy, maybe.
I think it's an old wooden bobber.
Okay.
Like the new ones are plastic.
Yeah. Okay.
Remember the old school? You've probably seen old school bobbers.
It looks like a butter churner. I'm not going to lie to you.
Right. At first glance, but I think if you think about those old school,
yeah, I could buy that. I could buye it's an old wooden bobber, and it's an old rope that's been broken, and all that could make sense.
It says it's blissfully brewed with lime juice, lime peat, black limes, and sea salt.
Just for the record,
quite
I think
a lot of
the
lime.
word is peel.
Oh, peel.
Lime
peat?
peel. There's no lime peat in this.
P-E-E-T?
P-E-E-L.
I just went to the eye doctor too, and it was about this size. She said, "Can you read what's the smallest line you can read?" And I said,
Peat.
Pete, P-E-E-T. And she's like, "All right, we're gonna adjust you
like,
just as
perfect.
All right, so a lot of lime
Awesome.
going on in here.
We got some old van crap going on, trying to figure out how far away to get this thing. Anyway, so.
But what I thought when I was like, oh, this I think will be good on the vocal cords.
Yeah.
This will like a refreshing or
lime juice,
lime
little
juice.
sour, kind of pucker it up for
Yeah,
you.
because don't they like say like gargle with salt water or
And lemon juice or lime juice. Yeah, sure.
yeah.
I think
lemon
that's
juice.
I think it's a good theory.
So that's what I'm doing.
It's a good reason to drink. Is
Right.
Try to make
it was
the
either that or like whiskey, like the old when you make hot toddies.
Yeah. Soothe the throat with some whiskey. Mm-hmm. All right. Cool.
All right, I'm excited. All right, so we're going to talk about addiction today. So the first part of our show, I wanted to talk about addiction itself and kind of explore a little bit about that. It's quite a large topic, and it can get pretty deep. We're not going to go into quite the deepness that I know addiction can bring, right? It can get real dark. We're going to try to, keep it fun. Things that I wanted to kind of explore.
We're going to make addiction fun again?
We're going to make it fun.
Okay. That's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. And because I think there's like addictions that we talk about that are surface level. And I think that's an interesting thing to talk about, to go,
Coffee?
Yeah. Like, things like that. And then there's, some real deal
Methamphetamines?
family disruptors. Yeah. Right. And so I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. We'll rate the beer. And then the second half of the show, I have a game.
Yay, love games.
Yes. And it's addiction based. You'll be addicted to it.
I'm addicted to games already.
Right. But it's a fun game. It is play along at home.
All right, so get a pad of paper ready in the next couple minutes.
Guess the weird addiction, real or fake.
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I like it.
All right. So I mentioned surface level addictions that kind of people throw out there. So I guess I wanted to ask you, are you addicted to anything?
I'm addicted to all kinds of stuff. Literally, right. I have all kinds of weird addictions, I think, and my wife would probably agree with that. Like I have a nicotine addiction. No qualms about saying that's not surface level. That's an actual drug addiction. Right. I get that, but
it's a physical addiction that you have.
I mean, I think I have. Coffee's obviously one. I have a subconscious need to have coffee in the morning. If I don't, I'm like, I'm freaking out. Like I'll have a little anxiety, panic attacks. I think that's what I feel like addiction is, right? Is when you start having like some sort of feeling that something ain't right when you're missing something. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think I'm addicted.
Sugar for you?
There's probably 1,000. I have addictive personality.
So bingo is
did I win the first point for me?
Well,
we playing the game already?
What spawned me to kind of come up with this is that someone said, I have an addictive personality. And I said, I don't think that's a legit thing.
So, I would
necessarily
say, I don't know that it's a legit medical thing. What I think people mean to say when they say that is, and this is going to sound bad on me, I can't help it. Some people are weak-minded. Like I don't have self-control. Like
right.
You don't
have impulse control.
Impulse control. It's not that you have like whatever, like addictive personality disorder. I don't think that's a thing necessarily. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I think you just have poor self-control for certain things.
Okay. So I have an answer as to whether
is it not the one I just gave?
No, you gave great information. Okay. I just don't want to I don't want to put out the final answer. I want to explore it just a little.
I want you to explore it more.
But I do have an answer.
Okay, good.
Whether there is such a thing as an addictive personality.
Okay.
To your point, when I hear that, I think it's sort of a fun thing to say, right? Like people go, I'm addicted to shopping, right? Or I'm addicted to chocolate, right? I love chocolate. I have to have it every day. Okay. Well, do you have to have it every day because if you don't, you will have
some sort of reaction to it.
Some sort of reaction,
anxiety or physical of some sort. Yeah.
So much like you, I was like, so what is addiction? Like, can you say I'm addicted to chocolate and say I'm addicted to heroin? Like, are those two things in the same planet, right? Of the same sphere?
Don't they do the same kind of thing to my brain? I think. Like, I don't know about nicotine. I think that's a whole different thing. But like chocolate, I feel like chocolate and methamphetamines are almost could also be the same for me. It's like that. I go, I need to find chocolate. I'll go home tonight and go look in the drawer that better have candy in it.
Right.
And if it doesn't, I'll go dig some candy out of somewhere because I'm going to eat something chocolate tonight. Guarantee it.
Have you ever gone so far as to leave the house?
I'll go find it. Yeah.
Yeah, like and go. I'm going to the
Yeah.
mini mart or whatever.
That's what I said. I told
Groceries-
my wife, if I ever come home with
Or gas
methamphetamines, you need to shoot me. Tie me down and take me to a rehab center because it's going to go bad quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what addiction actually is.
Okay.
We've hit on a few things.
Okay.
So I wanted to look it up. You're very close. I would say you actually probably hit it, but this will give us just a little bit more. Addiction is a relationship between a person and either an object or activity. Substance can be classified under object. Or an activity that you do.
Yep.
So with addiction, that substance or object or activity becomes increasingly more important, while previously important activities become less important
Okay.
than said substance,
Yep.
object, or activity. And ultimately, addiction is about the struggle between acting on the impulse of that thing or resisting that impulse.
Okay.
And doing other things that might be considered less harmful, might be the wrong word, but harmful tends to be part of addiction. It's taking over that when we talk about that object or activity, that relationship, it's becoming so that it's more important to than things that maybe should be prioritized.
It's
Like
the
your health
It's
or-
the balance of things, right? Like you've lost that balance.
Right.
Like exercise is really good for you. You can be addicted to going to the gym and having exercise and really hurt your body. Right.
Exactly.
Like, so chocolate isn't inherently bad for you.
Right.
But you can be so addicted to it that you gain 1 billion pounds and you rot your teeth out because all you're doing is eating chocolate because it sets off all the good receptors in your brain. And you're like, yay, I'm happy when I have chocolate. I'm sad when I don't. Right. So
Right. Write down set off good receptors in the brain and highlight that. And just so what's interesting to me, and I hope interesting to you, is addiction actually isn't something that was classified as a mental illness that was treatable until very recently. In the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, it wasn't until the current edition that they put addiction in there as a treatable mental illness.
when did that edition come out though?
It like within the last 20 years, I think.
Oh, I was gonna say
I'll look that up because I didn't look up the year, but I can.
no, it's all good. I would have said like the 60s or 70s, maybe that. After
I
some
think
drug
people
craze.
were dealing with addiction, but I don't think
They
they
just didn't
saw it as a
classify it as a
mental,
mental illness.
illness. Yeah, I think because there is, and I wrote this part down here, and I didn't know exactly when we'd get to it because there is sort of the theory that people have that they consider addiction to be a problem of personal weakness, and you mentioned that in one of your early theories on addiction.
Yeah.
Saying so. In this, the way they put it was a lot of people think it's initiated for just self-gratification and a continued or unwillingness or lack of sufficient willpower to stop. So I think a lot of people sort of saw it that way, right? Especially old school, maybe
Yeah.
it was like, hey, you just need to stop drinking the alcohol, man. It's ruining your family.
Yeah.
And they didn't really see it as such a dependency that it was something somebody maybe couldn't in just through impulse control, right?
Right. It's not a conscious choice, especially with some of those things like alcohol or even most things, right? I feel like most addictions, probably there's a basis in something else going on that's causing a lack of impulse control. Anyway, just a thought. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, that's good. So then the next sort of step in my learning process is there such a thing as addictive personality? And are these things that we speak of addictions like chocolate or shopping or heroin or alcohol? We know those are addictions, but like what qualifies almost? And it seems like early on there were 5 theories of addiction: negative reinforcement or pain avoidance.
Okay.
Things like opioids would be into
Yep.
that, right?
It starts with pain avoidance. It ends up being
my
your
back is
body
hurting really
needs it.
bad. You get opioids prescribed, and then you get addicted. There's positive reinforcement or pleasure seeking. So like food, chocolate.
Going to the gym too much. Like,
Right.
oh my God, your body looks so good. And you just go, I'm just going to keep building muscles until I break them.
We haven't really mentioned it yet, but sex
Yeah.
is
agree.
An addiction that came up several times during this, looking at this and going, where does that fall?
So sex kept coming up in your Google search.
Right.
So
I just kept-
that's gonna jack up
Right.
your
I
algorithm.
just kept
isn't it?
searching
You're
on
like,
it.
sex addict. You're sex addict. You're like,
Right.
it's gonna
Honey, I'm doing research
Right.
for the show over
Yeah.
here. Please.
every ad on social media is now
Pornhub.
How do you fix it?
Incentive salience or craving. This is akin to smoking. So you have a craving
Physical
a
reaction.
physical
yeah.
reaction that your body's like, I need this in order to keep going.
I have that for sweets, just for the record.
I got that. I think that would fall right under the same thing. Stimulus response learning or habits.
Yep.
It said people have work addiction. And so one of the lesser, I shouldn't say lesser, it wasn't as popular as a form of addiction, but it was definitely called out, is that, there are people that overwork themselves, only, get into this. I need to be the best. I need to, get the corporate ladder. I need to be always working. And
And they work themselves into a pattern of behaviors that they can't get out of.
right.
Yeah.
And then the last one is inhibitory control dysfunction or impulsivity. Has a lot to do with drugs and also sex seems to fall under this one too. But like, if you have cocaine addiction, stuff like that.
Take it from a guy who's quit smoking more times than than I can count. That impulse piece is the decision maker when you go, oh, I'm having a craving, or I had a really bad day, or I just got off a really bad call at work, or like my wife just said something that made me completely mad. And I go, I could really use a cigarette. It's that impulse control that you go, I'm going to screw it. I'm done. Stop smoking. I'm going to go to the store right now. And you're just like, and then all of a sudden your brain goes, yeah, that feels better. Like now you got a release. Like that piece right there, that end piece, I can see that in like when you're addicted to something like cigarettes or whatever, like I am.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, God, this could be cocaine just as easily. When you're like, I'm on the wagon, and you're like, one thing happens, you're like, I'm off the wagon. I'm going to find a cokehead or crackhead.
And smoking, smoking's kind of an interesting one because I think it falls under not only it's multiple.
Yeah.
So it's the cravings one, it's the habitual one, which
Yep.
I think you were talking about the
Hand and mouth fixations of like, this is what I do. It's a routine.
or after I eat,
Yep.
I smoke a cigarette.
Yep.
I'm in the car, I smoke a
This is what
cigarette.
I do, yep.
Right. Smokers who I know have that habit, it's really hard to break.
Yeah.
I've smoked in my life.
Yeah.
I didn't have that where I was like, oh, every time I do this, I smoke a cigarette.
Yeah, you're weird. I'm not going to lie. It pisses people off like me who have it. Like, you're like, yeah, I'm just done. I'm like, you're done with what? What? That's not how it works. You're supposed to be done and then not be done tomorrow and then be done again the next day.
And some people say that, especially with smoking, you're never really quit.
No.
You're just hanging on until the next time you
You have
falter.
Yeah.
Which is also sort of, a couple of addictions kind of fall under that. But so I kind of wanted to, before I jump into the final answer of is there a addictive personality, but just kind of also personalize this a little bit. I know you talked about some of maybe what you think of yourself as having addiction. I'm like, do I have an addiction? Well, I think my family would say I'm addicted to organization. But
Yeah.
if I get up and things are askew in the morning, I don't want to continue my day without putting everything into a place that makes me feel comfort.
Yeah. And that's called OCD. It's not an actual addiction. It's actually a mental disorder.
Right? Are they related? They might be.
They might. Yeah. No.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm like, well, that's not an addiction. So I started going through, well, I don't think I'm addicted to alcohol. I have it a lot. I have it, but I never feel like I need it. And I don't drink on the weekdays, let's say.
Yeah.
I've never drank alone.
You're an
I
interesting
don't really
bird, right?
drink
Because
alone.
I think you're chemically not tied to things. Like you're like, oh, I could go drink a lot And then you're like, I'm going to stop drinking for a couple weeks. And you're like, okay, done. Like you used to have real bad acid reflux.
Right.
You're like, I'm not drinking for a while.
In 2 years.
Yeah. Right. And then also
Right.
and then time passed and you're like, yeah, I'm going to start drinking again. It's fine.
Right.
It was never like, I have to have it or like, oh my God, I haven't drank in a year and a half. Like I haven't drank in 6 months. I never hear like, or smoking. You're never like, well, I really want a cigarette so bad, but I can't have one because I quit 2 weeks ago. You're just like, yeah, I just quit. It's fine. I'm like, that doesn't resonate
Right.
with my brain. Mine doesn't work like that.
So the reason I bring this up was my grandfather, on my maternal grandfather, was an alcoholic. Actually died very young from probably somewhat related.
It causes other issues.
Yeah, I think he was a diabetic, and then he drank so much, everything was off, and then had a heart attack in his very early 50s. He was barely into his 50s. And not only was he an alcoholic, in the sense that, for himself, he needed that, it also wrecked his family, right?
Yeah.
So my mom's family was a wreck, and very unfortunate that it affected everyone.
Yeah.
To the point that most of them don't even talk today. Right? She only talks to one other sibling. And to me, I didn't live it, but I see the repercussions of it. And then you also hear that some of that times that's hereditary, right? So I'm like, could that be hereditary? So sometimes when I'm drinking, I'm like, well, I don't feel like I need this, right? But like I've heard that it's hereditary, but I don't think, it's this weird thing. But so have you seen, and have you been close to any other examples that you would say of addiction?
Yeah. I mean,
without like giving too much away.
Yeah. I think we've already gone deep on this.
Other people are like, or worse than our own.
No,
Have
yeah,
we?
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, you're like, hey, this is what's going on in my family. I'm like, hey, I'm addicted to all kinds of crazy crap. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, so I've been close enough to a couple things that I think are a little scary. Alcoholism, super scary. It just kind of wraps a bubble around a person, and then everything inside that bubble is just what that person needs to survive. Everything outside the bubble doesn't really matter that much sometimes, which is crappy. I think that's kind of what you described, right? Is that it wrecks.
Yeah,
Everything
right.
around it wrecks. But I've also seen like some eating addiction stuff that have been, spawned from whatever, but have also caused, quite a bit of trauma. Like just how do I quit doing something that I, doesn't make me happy, and just that whole thing. So I think there's some eating addiction things out there that I don't really fully understand. I don't get all of that sometimes, but that eating addiction thing is a whole different ballgame, because I think there's a whole lot more going on there that, I don't know. And maybe that's the same with smoking or drinking. Is there something else going on that you're trying to fix or cover up or deal with or whatever that is, cope with? So,
yeah. I think you're hitting a lot of good points there. And as you were talking, I was like, there's so much that's happening with you if you are addicted to something, to where it's taking over your life, such that it's wrecking your personal relationships, your work, your livelihoods, or just your life, your health.
Yeah.
And that when I started the show, I said that it can go, there's darkness, right?
Yeah.
Of addiction. And that there was a show, Addicted, right? Or Addiction,
I used to intervention.
Right,
is
intervention.
one.
That's it.
Yeah.
Intervention. And man, that just really, it was like, if I'm not addicted at that level, I'm blessed. Right? Like I feel like I'm blessed. Like I wouldn't hope that on anyone, right? Where you just don't have any control. Like you feel like heroin, let's say, using it as an example, right? Because apparently that's like
it's pretty bad.
Very addictive.
Yeah.
Because that hits you on two fronts, right? It's physically addictive, which is why you have withdrawals if you try to stop, and it's also
There's an emotional component to that, or a mental component to that too.
mentally addicting.
Yeah.
So it's a 2-part, right? And then you get addicted to that, and it just, that's what that life becomes, and everything else around you isn't as important.
What's
and
scary for me, at least,
hurts.
when I watch those shows, is there is some similarity between that kind of crazy addiction where you're like, that person is way down a road I don't ever want to be down. Like that's like you're strung out in a crack house somewhere with strange people doing whatever for money to get your next hit.
Right.
That's insane. Like that's a whole lot of danger and bad stuff going on. But there is a very gray line between that and what you do with smoking and alcohol addictions, where it starts controlling your schedule, right? Which is that's the gray line that I always go, I get to that point where I'm like, oh my God, I only have one cigarette left. When is my next meeting over? Because I'm going to have to go to the grocery store and get me some cigarettes because then I'll be out. I'm like, I can go 5 hours without a freaking cigarette. That's dumb. But your mind starts doing that. It starts controlling, oh my God, what if I run out? Oh my God, I don't have my next hit of something. I think people do that with alcohol too. And they're like, oh my God, is it noon yet? Is it legal to drink? Or, oh my God, I'm almost out of whatever. I don't have any bottles of vodka. We've got to go to the store now while I'm sober for 15 minutes in the morning so that I can go get something to get drunk by noon.
Hopefully you're sober when you go get it.
Yeah, that'd be great. But sometimes they're probably not, right? But that's that same, it starts controlling how you think about your day versus like everything else that you should be doing.
Yeah. And so I know I probably went pretty far around the bush. But I thought it was all good sort of points to kind of throw out there to come to the middle. And that is all of that stuff that we talked about, alcohol stuff, heroin stuff. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
And what I read in some of the latest research is it's a matter of the dopamine fix. And there aren't really multiple addictions. It's whatever is
triggers that in your brain.
Dopamine the best, and then you want that on repeat.
Yeah.
And it's such a fix that you go back for more. So you can, and that's why there are people that tend to be multiple addiction. Like I knew a person, a friend of the family, or a family friend, his family was an alcoholic and a gambleaholic, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well,
there's multiple things that flick the same switch.
It's all for the dopamine hit. And that dopamine's so important that it's found in various forms. And that, so you can, in essence, addictive personality is a thing, and that your addictive want isn't necessarily to one driver that you just happen to find. Like, oh, if I would have never started smoking, then I wouldn't be a smoker.
Right.
Well, that might not have been your dopamine.
You'd have figured out how to flip the switch.
You might be a scratch-off addiction, right? Or you might be, more of an alcoholic per se,
right?
But
go ahead and say it: sex addiction. You Googled it enough.
Yeah.
Use an example.
So you were correct. I think your original, and then I remember I told you to write down what did I tell you to write down?
Receptors in brain, and that's the dopamine. Yep.
And it wants that. So there is such sort of a thing as addictive personality. Okay. It's just, and hopefully, and I guess maybe sort of the part of the moral of the story is, do you ever want to find the thing that is the biggest dopamine hit for you? Because if you do, it might become your weakness.
But it could be also skydiving, or it could be riding on a cruise ship. Right? Like it could be something good or fun, or it could be something horrible.
Yeah.
You want to find something that flicks the same switch as heroin, but you want it to be safe and productive.
And then, and keep it safe.
Yeah.
So if you're
keep getting more.
So if you're into skydiving, that's cool, but don't do that thing like where you see on YouTube where people climb a crane without any parachute and they try to,
that's dumb
crazy.
Crap. Right. I saw a guy the other day jump out of a plane with no parachute, with a partner who had his parachute. So he jumped out and free dove with nothing. And I'm like,
they got to hook up.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm like, that is a whole lot of variables that have to come into play for you to have a parachute on at the end of this video. And he did, but whatever. I was like, that's crap.
There's so many.
We're not doing it.
So there's so many of those.
Climbing on building and jumping between building things.
I guess there's so many, and it's what was it called, the stomach dropper, or like when you can watch something and your stomach drops and you're like, oh, that's so. I have to look away.
So find a way that bingo is the thing that flicks the switch on your dopamine.
And also, yes, and bingo, in a nudist colony. I guess then the other underlying point, as we had said, some people think that it's just a matter of self-control or impulse control and go, you're better than that. I can control my impulses. You should be able to. It's really not, and it is a mental state that
Condition. Say it.
condition.
Steven's got a mental
illness. That is a struggle. So real quick before we rate, I did just because I think we've hit them all. But what do you think the top 10 most common addictions are?
Are drugs one thing, or are there multiple drugs?
There are multiple drugs.
Okay, so we're gonna go with drugs. Has got to be in the top. Oh, here you can have that.
Using my pen, yeah.
So it's got to be like heroin, cocaine.
Yeah, heroin's number 9. Cocaine's number 8.
All right. Any kind of opioid.
Opioids number 6.
Sex. Oh, crap.
Sex and pornography number 4.
Yay. Smoking.
Nicotine number 2.
Gambling.
Gambling. Yes, number 5.
Oh, wow.
You only have 4 more left.
Food. Is food on there?
Food is not. It is an honorable mention.
Oh, nice.
That is actually it's unquantifiable. There are a couple that you can't really quantify. So, like you said, nicotine. It's number 2 because 8.5% of Americans reported struggling with nicotine addiction. Sex and pornography. That's approximately 3 to 6% of the U.S. population. Okay. So these are ranked by percent of people that reported dealing with them as an addiction.
I haven't hit number 1. The
number
one
1
addiction yet. Why haven't I hit that?
Which we've talked about several times already. Unless you...
Is it candy? Sugar?
No.
Is sugar on there?
That's food.
Oh, damn it. Wow, how about we talked about something? Alcoholism. Yeah, damn, sorry.
That's all right. We've just said it so many times. Yeah. Maybe we're like, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, alcohol number 1. As of 2020, 10.2% of people aged 12 or older reported struggling with an alcohol use disorder.
Wow.
That is 28 million people.
Did you say 12 or older?
12 or older, yeah.
Good Lord.
Well, I mean, it starts young. You try it, try a beer or try, something that you get out of the cupboard.
Okay.
Are there 10%?
So I've got
by far number 1 because nicotine is 8.5. Those two are really up there.
Okay.
Then it falls down. Number 3 is going to be a little harder because some people say it's non-addictive or non-habit forming.
Oh, is this marijuana?
Marijuana is number 3.
I remember the clip.
Right.
Sorry, that was playing.
It's not habit forming.
You're gonna want this.
Apparently, it is 5.1% of Americans aged 12 or older. And it says part of the reason addiction might be growing is due to the increased potency. It's that dopamine hit because it's 60%.
Everything's getting stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah, it's 60% more potent in just the last decade. Because you always hear, 1970s, the joint, wouldn't get you whatever, and today it's like, but just in the last decade, it's up 60%.
You just eat a gummy bear arm and all of a sudden you're toast on the couch for a day.
Yeah. The last 2, maybe I'll give you a hint. Number 7, you'll see people in mugshots with that look like a clown because they were doing this. More like a clown, painted clown.
Oh, like huff and paint?
Yes. Inhalants, number 7.
Crap.
2.4 million Americans, or 0.9% of 12 or older people. And then the last one is, say, if you wanted to, some people want to really study for a test, sort of become in vogue for that, or the one you actually did mention, meth, but it falls under stimulants.
Okay.
So approximately 500,000 Americans 12 or older had a stimulant disorder. Adderall is the one I was kind of alluding to with the studying. Ritalin or meth. You would think meth's a little higher, but it might be just where we live. A sort of Midwest tends to be the meth.
We love the meth.
And it seems like every Midwest state claims it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you'll hear people are like from Wisconsin. They're like,
Yeah,
we're the meth capital.
yeah,
I'm like,
everybody's
really? You're the cheese capital. What?
Right. You can't be meth and cheese.
Right. You can only have one. Unquantifiable or internet and smartphone. We didn't even really talk about that, but that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Dopamine hit of, social medias
Yeah.
and getting
Attention and
your bings on your phone, like ding, ding. And, what did I get? What did I get? Work. We talked about shopping. I don't know if we mentioned that.
We
but
talked a little. You mentioned it, but I don't think we've delved into it.
Honorable mentions. There's two, just because I wanted to try to say this word. Benzodiazepines. Oh, man.
The benzodiazepines?
Also known as benzos. Valium, Xanax, Klonopin, those kind of mood altering drugs are usually. And then barbiturates, which are sleeping pills, basically. So Ambien.
Okay.
Be addicted to it. All right.
So really just big pharma. And the drug
has a lot of
cartels
stuff
own
going on
almost
in
all
there.
that list.
Yep. Alcohol, that's it. Nicotine. Oh, all big players. Yeah. Sex and pornography. There's a lot of money making operations.
What we need to do is figure out something new and different that triggers dopamine because you can make a ton of money off that.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what all the people are looking. It's like those futuristic movies where you see new, like weird things that they're doing.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about this Sea Quench Ale. It is it's doing me right in terms of
Making your throat
making
feel
my
better.
throat feel a little
You
bit
got
better.
the sexy voice still. I'm not going to lie. So I hadn't cured it.
No, but it's good. It's definitely a sour. It's not overly sour, which is interesting because of all the lime that was spoken about. At least in my opinion. Now I might have slightly adjusted receptors.
I can't taste anything, but this is great.
Well, when we've had sours, sometimes it seems to me that when we rate it, it's based on how sour it is. Like if it's overly sour, like what are those Sour Patch Kids? Like if they made a Sour Patch Kid beer, that'd be too much.
Yeah.
We kind of like just that.
Yeah, I don't mind a
Even
hint of
keel.
sour.
Right. It's probably not our go-to. It's definitely not my go-to as a sour, but I'm going to give it a 3. This is a decent sour. It's
Give me
not
my pen back.
it's it's like I'm looking at, it's definitely higher than a 2. If I was at a party and people had these, to give away and said, here, you didn't bring your own, I would drink these.
I could imagine drinking.
Yeah.
It. So I'm right with you. It is not as sour of sour ale as we've had in the past, and the lime is not as limey,
Right.
but it's there
Because of the peat.
It is. It's the lime peat.
Yes. Dumbs it down a little.
Thank God they didn't put the peel in here because that would have been way too much lime.
Right.
No, there is that.
They just put Jordan in.
There's the at least for me the initial taste of ale, and then you can the lime comes right after it.
I messed up. They put Key in. Jordan and Peel. It's Key and Peel.
It
Go
is
ahead.
Key and Peel.
I'm an idiot. All right.
You're still getting over cold.
Yeah.
It's all good. Yeah. So I just think that little taste of lime at the end doesn't really bother me. Like I get it.
Yeah.
So
and actually, it
good job.
It kind of reminds me of a
Dogfish.
a poor man's margarita, right? Like when we've done
some beer margarita things, mixtures.
where it's like, oh, it's a beer, but it has that hint of what I would probably taste in a margarita.
Yes, it has that hint, but it tastes like a beer versus a margarita. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3-2. I'm with you there. I probably am not gonna go. I'm gonna drink them if I need to.
Right.
If they're in the cooler, I'm drinking them. So.
All right.
Awesome. So we have a game.
We have a game.
Oh yay! All right. So if you're playing at home, you have to have a pen and a piece of paper ready or something, right?
Or if you're jogging or if you're in the car, then try to keep it up in your noggin so as not to run off the road.
Yep. Keep your hands. How many questions are there first?
There's 15 total.
Oh crap! So you're gonna have to pull a sock off if you're gonna try to keep track of this on your hands and toes.
So this is called. I called this the My Strange Addiction game. I don't know if you remember back in the early 2000s. There was a show on TLC called My Strange Addiction.
I don't.
You never watched it?
No. Oh, I don't think so. Oh, yes, I did. Those people ate out of ashtrays.
They had 6 seasons of this
I
My
did watch
Strange
this. There
Addiction.
was some weird crap on there.
All right, so I'm going to give you the title and the quick synopsis of a show, and you tell me if this was a real episode or if it's fake and I made it up. So I made up some of these.
Oh, did you make up half of these?
I don't know.
Okay.
More than one.
Okay. All right. Cool.
All right. The first one is eats toilet paper. Kesha has admitted to eating a half a roll of toilet paper every day, whether in the car or at movies or in a restaurant. Kesha seizes every opportunity to give in to her addiction.
So, for one, Kesha may be onto something.
It's not the singer Kesha, by the way.
Oh, it's not with the dollar sign. It's with the
$sign show.
So just imagine not having to wipe because you've eaten food and then eaten toilet paper at the same. It just like that's brilliant.
Okay, yeah.
I like where she's at with this.
All right. Real or fake?
I'm gonna go with real.
All right, you got it.
Yay!
Nice job.
I think Kesha's onto something, and I think it's gonna become a thing.
All
it's
right.
gonna be trending on TikTok. You watch, it'll be a TikTok challenge. 1 week without wiping. Go.
Number 2, drinks own urine. Lori has been addicted to sampling her own wastewater since she was 8 years old. Says she finds it comforting, akin to a warm cup of tea.
That is brutal to picture an 8-year-old.
My strange addiction.
It sounds well. So I watched Bear Grylls drink his pee all the time on whatever
Right.
that show was. So I'm gonna go with this is probably a valid addiction. Yes, true.
All right. That is, I
You
made
made that up.
Yes.
All right, I'm 50%.
I think maybe the word akin.
Akin to a cup of tea.
away.
Oh, it did. The akin to a cup of tea gave me a pause for a second, but then I'm like, that seems valid. That seems like a real thing. All right.
I think I was drinking tea, while not feeling great while I was writing these and getting, and I'm like,
all right.
oh, look. All right.
cool.
Number 3, crazy cat lady. Debbie is severely allergic to cats, but has over 20 of them, despite the health problems they cause and the isolation that comes with being the crazy cat lady. Debbie continues to choose the cats over herself.
I think most people who have cats are crazy, and we have them.
Yes, you do.
And so I'm going to go with this is a valid episode.
That is true. Good job.
Sorry, I should be answering true or false. Sorry.
Or no, real or fake. Or
Real or fake?
Yeah, real.
I'm with you. That one's real.
That is real, yes. I understood the meaning behind your guess.
Okay.
If you said true or false, I could also garner, but yes.
Real or fake?
Real or fake. All right. Next one. My strange addiction. Tanning. Samantha tans up to 3 times a day in tanning beds. In addition to tanning outdoors, slathered in vegetable oil.
3 times a day. Slathered in vegetable oil.
That's when she's outside, outdoors. Could you imagine being in one of those those beds in
Slathered in
olive oil?
Yes. Extra virgin olive oil everywhere.
I can't seem to get out of this.
Yeah, I'm stuck.
It's so slippery.
I'm going to go with fake.
It's true. Oh, that's wrong button. Stop applauding.
Yeah, what is going Why did the ding ding keep ringing? And
All right, guys, calm down, calm down.
okay.
All right, our studio audience.
Yeah, liked the answer.
Sorry. Yes.
They were with me.
All right, so you're back at 50%.
Yeah.
All right. Next one, number 5. Rock, scissors, paper. Dennis loves this classic game so much it consumes most of his day. When he isn't playing with people he knows, he plays solo, right hand versus left hand, holds tournaments, and keeps detailed statistics.
For the love of God. For one, my trigger was Dennis. I'm going to go with fake. Fake.
Trigger. Oh, that's awesome.
I got it right there, didn't I?
Dennis was your trigger? There was
Dennis-
nobody in Dennis.
There's no way you named Dennis. No.
That wasn't right hand versus left hand.
No, that's funny. And I could see that being an actual episode, but the Dennis triggered it.
All right. Number 6.
Right hand versus left hand. That's awesome.
Hair puller. Haley has been pulling her own hair for over 6 years, but the big payoff for her is eating the follicle. Sometimes the hair pulling can trap her in the bathroom for 2 to 3 hours a day, literally isolating her from the world.
There is nothing, literally nothing better than a root vegetable or a hair follicle.
Right.
And that sounds like something Haley would do. So I'm going to go with real.
Right. Haley is not a made-up name, apparently. Haley, no. Dennis, yes.
Dennis made up.
All right. So
Now
good.
you know.
You are doing well now. You're crushing it.
4 out of 6 or something.
Yes, out of 6. So we are on number 7. Bleaches skin. Candace struggles with her addiction to skin bleach to lighten her skin. Discrimination at school and teasing from friends has her convinced she is ugly. She calls her obsession a beauty regimen, but her family insists it's an addiction and worries about the health risks.
That sounds like a Michael Jackson disorder, and I'm going to go with that's true.
That is true. Very good.
Yay.
And it happens in more than you would think. And in some countries, it's actually a sign of prosperity.
A bleached skin is?
Yes.
Huh.
Sammy Sosa. Google him. Recent pictures. He is very different looking than when he was in the home run race.
Really?
Yes. And then I believe it's, he doesn't really talk about it too much, but in where he's from, I think what I read, because I'm like,
that's a
how
sign
is this
of
a thing?
wealth and
It's
prosperity?
It's prosperity. That you have the ability to do that.
Huh. Weird.
All right,
Odd.
number 8. You are on fire. 3 in a row. Yeah. Applying for credit cards. Jonathan is addicted to getting free gifts in the mail and says the most lucrative come from applying for new bank accounts and credit cards, and now is running out of space for the continuous flow of cheap swag.
Jonathan is a trigger for me, and I'm going to go with this is fake.
I don't think that was the trigger for you. You're right. You're right.
Yes.
That was correct. Sorry, I'll give you an extra little. It can't be the name. Jonathan. I mean, anybody could name Jonathan.
No, I'm on to you with names. I'm just kidding. That was probably.
I thought it was the flow of cheap swag.
It was it was swag at the end.
All right.
I just thought I'd mess with you on the Jonathan thing.
I know. No, I'm on to your game now.
All right.
This is a game within a game. Number 9, eats drywall. For the past 7 years, Nicole has been eating the drywall. She craves the taste and will eat up to 3 square feet of drywall every week. The walls in her home are covered in holes from snacking, serving as a constant reminder of her addiction.
3 feet of drywall a week. That is a lot of drywall.
Square feet, yep.
And drywall is basically just chalk on the inside with paper on the outside.
Yeah, it's stone, right? It's crushed up stone.
Yeah. Dang it. What was her name?
Sheetrock, right? Nicole. Real or fake?
Real.
It is real. Very good.
I was struggling with the Nicole one. That could go either way.
Man, you are making this game now look easy. I stumbled a little out of the blocks, but now you're on fire. Attends funerals of strangers. Craig can't stop himself from scouring the obituaries and attending the services of complete strangers, posing as a grieved loved one. He says it's all about the spiritual experience he shares with fellow mourners. Real or fake?
Wow. I'm going to go with fake. Am I right?
You are right.
Yes. Greg.
Man, I thought I was going to get you on that one.
Nope, it was Greg. It was the name.
It was the
Nailed
name again? Yes. Man, I really, and I tried to really hone in on the wording of some of the way that they were wording the real ones, to.
So that one and the
do
first
well.
one technically were seriously the name.
Oh, really? Craig?
Yeah, because
Was
I
not
think
believable?
you did a really good job on the end of everything after Greg, right? Isn't that what you said, Greg?
Craig, yeah.
Craig. Yeah, everything after his name. I'm like, oh, yeah, he's into the spiritual part. That could make sense. I was torn on that one.
Right on. All right.
All right, keep going.
Number 11. We're in towards the end here. Gas sniffer. Teresa is obsessed with sniffing gasoline out of a water bottle. Her addiction has gotten so bad that she can't go more than 10 minutes without a sniff. Teresa suffers from memory loss, stomach problems, and anemia, but refuses to quit. Real or fake?
Ooh. So I'm going to go with real.
Yes. I can see you doing this.
I can too.
Getting some. Gas does have a interesting smell, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if our brains are wired in a weird way. Like,
Yeah, bad smells can trigger good responses.
and I don't know if it's our natural reaction to go, hey, I need to know if there's more of that around to get away from it.
Yeah.
So I'm really tuned into it. But man, you open or open up the gas out of the lawnmower or whatever and start pouring it around. There's something like, I don't want to get a lot of it, but that's a nice little.
Yeah, but there's also, I think, so smells trigger memories. So
True,
there may be like good memories of putting gas in a boat when you were young,
I knew
or like
boats would be a thing.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where you go, like I smell. There's certain mildewy, wet smells that I go, that smells like duck hunting. That smells like my waders,
Right.
which needed to be aired out this season and they weren't. Right? Like I go, that smells, it's horrible, but I go, I love that smell. It's the smell of getting up in the morning
Yeah.
at 4 o'clock in the morning, putting nasty waders on and going out and sitting in the marsh for a while. So,
All right. Next one, number 12, licking envelopes. Christopher now goes through several boxes a day, saying the taste and texture of the lined adhesive is invigorating to the senses. Acknowledging he does get the occasional paper cut, he doesn't plan on slowing down.
this is fake. Am I right? Yes.
Oh no, he's tapped in.
I am dialed into your wording.
Yeah.
Although I'm not. You did a really good job, embellishing this story of like paper cuts and like that. There's some
Right.
thought put into this. I love it. That's awesome.
All right, number 13. We got the final three. Man, you're on a roll. Coffee enemas. Trina and her husband Mike have done nearly 7,000 coffee enemas over the last 2.5 years, spending up to 5 hours a day absorbing the drink in only the unconventional manner, admitting they don't even drink coffee.
Oh God. I don't really think that's a good thing to shove in you. I'm gonna go with real.
That is real.
So listen. So when you thought I was playing around with the names, what were
Right,
those?
Trina and Mike.
Trina versus
Trina.
Jonathan.
Right.
Right. So you're like those Teresa. Who's the cat lady? That cat lady woman.
Cat lady was Debbie.
That I could have gone either way on
Right.
that. No, you're good.
Pretty easy.
All right. So cool.
Samantha was tanning. It's pretty
Yeah, that's pretty
normal,
run of the mill.
typical names.
All right.
I remember that particular episode because they it was so crazy.
They do that together.
They would lay down and they had to put a blanket over, right? Like over them for the episode. And then they're like laying in the kitchen and they would, have and do this
Together?
enema. Yeah.
Hot.
I don't
cold
I don't
coffee.
know. You know, I don't remember specifically. It couldn't have been hot.
But coffee's only good hot.
well, maybe in one direction. I don't know. But wow, I do remember that one. And
That's brutal.
And
That's
going,
gross.
yeah. All right. You ready for the next one?
Yep.
Surveys and personality tests. Stephanie wants to know when,
Damn
where,
it.
and how everyone around her thinks. So she distributes tens of tests a day, administers each herself, grades them, and then personally reviews what letter of the alphabet each test taker most closely aligns with.
There is no way you didn't write this specifically directed at me.
What?
There is a 0 chance this is real. Jerk. Oh, but that's priceless. Stephanie.
Right? I even got it close to Steven.
You nailed it. And that was...
I'm like, he's going to
Super
get this
jerky.
one for sure. I hope others appreciate that one
They
as
will,
well. All right, last but
can't
not
believe you did
least,
that. That's
number
funny.
15, blow dryer. Lori has been addicted to sleeping with her blow dryer on since she was 8 years old. Although she finds the heat and sound comforting, Lori risks the chance of burning her skin severely or worse, starting an electrical fire.
Oh, let me think about this one. That sounds like a weird one. Although, Lori, I'm going to go with fake.
Ha on the last one.
So, did I miss 3? Got 12?
1, 2, 3 is yes. I show you got only 3 wrong.
That's not bad.
No,
For
really
me.
good. Man, you nailed that one.
There's things I'm dialed into, and there's things I'm not.
Right.
Movie trivia?
Next episode. That's it's much more fun.
Andrew's creative writing. I might be dialed into that.
Well, yes. And I don't know how you got that one about Stephanie. I really thought I worded that one well. It sounds like a true addiction. honestly.
It does. It probably is.
How far did you get before? I'll have to go back. I'll listen to that one.
Yeah, listen to
tonight.
that over because it wasn't more than 3 words.
What's the actual title? I bet. Because
Yeah, Stephanie has a personality test issue.
surveys and personality tests.
That was as far as I got before I'm like, that is complete crap.
Right. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were on that show. You've never told me.
Yeah, I probably should be for a whole lot of other reasons, but not for that. That's useful.
Yes. All right. So we are towards the end of the episode.
Yeah.
And we have nothing else to cover, I don't think.
Sweet.
We talked
Are we
about,
good?
Right. Well, remember, it's like riding a bicycle, sort of. Yeah. Like it takes a minute to figure that out. But we are back. We hope we'll put out one, this one that you're hearing, and then we have another one that we'll be getting ready to do as well. So, anything else you want to?
No, I enjoyed your addiction episode. That was
All right.
insightful and entertaining.
Excellent.
I hope Stephanie gets through her addiction.
All right. Well, awesome. I'll be praying for him. I meant her. Mm-hmm. You.
Yep.
All right. Here. Right. Thanks you.
Thanks you.
I would love to continue feeding your addiction to this show, but this one is OVR over.